Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our incredible podcast, our incredible offering and message that offers understanding and appreciation of the mind, of the heart, of the soul, strength, juice, energy to lift us up above, to be able to see further ahead in a time that is very, very confusing. I'm sharing you a chapter from my book, A Spiritual Soul Book, a very special book that has over 800 pages, 300 small little chapters. Every week I upload about 2-3 chapters on the blog at timesofisrael.com. So you can see a lot more information there on that blog, Times of Israel. Look out for my name, Rabbi Shlomo Ezagui. I am a rabbi here in South Florida for the last 36 years. That's a long time. I've come across a lot, experienced a lot. I've learned and I've grown a lot. And I'm here to share some of that incredible wisdom with you live. Today's subject is going to be unveiling the inner light, nurturing the godly soul in a world of falsehood. That's packed with incredible information there. We got an inner light. We have a godly soul, and we are dwelling in a world of falsehood. That's what the Talmud says. The great work of our sages that come all the way down from Moses, straight from God, tells us that this is a world of falsehood. Mysticism teaches us that beneath the surface of the material world lies a deeper reality. And that's one of the reasons why we call this world a world of falsehood, because the world, it gives us the impression that it is what it appears to be. But the truth is that there is a real identity much deeper than what appears on the surface. Scientists, of course, are recognizing and realizing this truth these days when they tell us that when you look at a piece of wood, a table, a car, whatever it is, there are some deeper realities inside and behind the surface, molecules and atoms and electrons and protons and neutrons. When you're looking at a tree, there's a whole world behind that bark that is operating to bring up the water from the ground, to take and convert the energy of the sun into actual chemical and sugar and glucose for the tree to grow on. It's amazing what's going on behind the scenes. So that's what mysticism has always assisted us in recognizing, that there is a deeper reality that lies beneath the surface of the material world. And it's a world of concealed truth and inner energies. Within each of us, there's also that same truth and that same reality. There is the body, which is the way we appear one from each other. But then there is deep down inside a godly soul. And there is a constant struggle that ensues between this body, which is driven by self-indulgence, and the godly soul, which is always yearning for spiritual fulfillment. There is this constant tension that goes out between the truth that is inside and the surface that fights for our attention. This battle often leaves us feeling empty when we only indulge in the temptations of the body and we only address what is calling our attention on the surface. It leaves us empty inside as the godly soul seeks liberation from the confines of the physical self that constrains and constricts, and it covers over, and it's an obstacle. It stands in the way of the soul being able to fulfill its purpose, its mission, and quench itself with what it really yearns for. The soul, which is the truth inside of us, it yearns for purpose, for meaning, for fulfillment. But the body is looking for immediate gratification. It's calling for us to go and put on nicer clothes and take care of our muscle. Through our choices and actions, we have the power to nurture and manifest that soul, that light that is within us. We have that strength, notwithstanding the struggle that exists on the outside in this world of falsehood and through our body. And then when we are aware of the fight that is going on, as our sages tell us, recognizing reality, recognizing illness is already halfway reaching to the goal. We are then able to transform ourselves and the world that is around us. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the human experience encompasses not just the body, an outer shell, but there is inside the body, there is a godly energy, the soul, the neshama. And today, quantum physics and science is recognizing more and more this invisible energy that really is the internal fire that gives rise to everything we have in this world. And while the body seeks self-fulfillment and instant gratification, because it's always calling attention to itself, to the body, to the surface, to the superficiality of its identity, the godly soul that is the real me, that is the real identity of myself, it is yearning for what is real, what is truthful, what is hidden inside. So it's looking always for deep connection inside the world to the infinite source that is the reason for everything. So there is a dichotomy between these two dimensions that is ongoing in our lives on a regular basis. And when we recognize that there is this, so to say, ongoing war inside our heads, living inside our bodies, this sometimes can help us appreciate why many people feel empty inside themselves. They feel empty inside themselves because they're not feeding the emptiness and the yearn and the desire of the soul that it is looking to reach meaning and depth and fulfillment and virtue and value. And if we ignore that, it remains empty. It's not reaching its own fullness of fulfillment. And therefore, we need to recognize that ongoing tension that goes on inside ourselves all the time. Now, while the body may feel like a temporary dwelling, we're not here for more than, as the psalmist says, 70, 80 years of strength if we're lucky. We pray and we wish each other up to 120 years because Moses lived up to 120 years, because God said to Noach, his patience lasts for 120 years, but it's only 120 years. In the grand scheme, it's very temporary, especially when compared to the soul, which is eternal. The soul, the true me, the identity of myself, existed before it comes into my body when I'm born, and it continues to exist after my body returns to the ground, to the earth from which it was created. This temporary dwelling of the soul, of the body, the temporary dwelling of the soul in the body, shouldn't be taken lightly, because this ongoing journey that we have with our body is really the opportunity to bring about spiritual growth and merit to the spiritual side of ourselves and to the physical world we are living in. We bring value to the physical world when we use the physical world for the reason it was created, and that is to bring about spiritual accomplishments. By accomplishing what God wants us to fulfill here in this world, through the physical world we are living in, we bring value to the physical world, and we accomplish what is eternal and what is deep and what is real value to ourselves and to the world, by consistently making positive choices in our mind and in our speech and in our action that is aligned with our godly soul. It has to be aligned with our godly. If not, then we are schizophrenic. If not, there is an ongoing friction of unhappiness, and it brings about unhappiness within ourselves. But when a person is aware of the thoughts that they have and the constant battle that goes inside themselves, when a person is aware of the tremendous influence and impact that his words have on himself, on his mind, and on his surroundings, when a person realizes that the way he behaves will make a tremendous impact on himself and on the world around him, he brings light into what is otherwise mundane in this physical world. He brings brilliance, he brings wisdom, he brings happiness and joy. And this process strengthens our eternal godly soul. The godly soul is brought here into this world, and it's to a degree lacking its fulfillment. And so it yearns and it wants to accomplish the reason it is here in this world. And when we make the right choices, this process is an ongoing journey of strength. Every single wise and proper choice for the godly soul. This is enriching our inner being. This is illuminating what is otherwise darkness and falsehood that is, at least on the surface, and what meets the eye to most people. It's a lie. That's why it's called darkness. Darkness covers over reality, the truth of the matter. And the truth of the matter is hidden by what's on the surface. But when right choices, proper choices are made, this is what elevates and pervades the material world. So what we're saying today is something, a very, very important message. And that is something that modern day scientists are recognizing more and more. A fact that mysticism teaches us already a long time ago, that the world that we perceive and that we see on a regular basis, the news that we hear, and the things that are circulated out on the surface is just a superficial layer. You need to apply yourself to uncover profound truths and energies that are inside everything. That's true on the physical level. When you're looking at another person, don't just look at them on the surface, but recognize that there's a deep world inside them. And then even further than that, that there's a deeper spiritual energy inside all of that, that has a certain trajectory, that has a certain mission and a certain direction that it is placed in this world to reach. And by nurturing the godly soul within us, we transcend the limitations of the body, and we find in that process real peace and tranquility, because we're not then limited and constricted by today and worrying about tomorrow and feeling guilty about yesterday. When a person transcends the limitations of the now and of the body, that is really when they find acceptance and they find humility and they find blessings and happiness. This all comes about through the power of choice, by recognizing that it is up to us. The Torah says, behold, I put before you good and bad, life and the opposite. And it's up to us. We can overcome negative tendencies, and we can, by overcoming those negative tendencies, allow inner light to shine forth. And that transforms ourselves completely from what appears on the surface to a reality that is always waiting to express itself, that is inside ourselves, that light, that soul, that blessing of God. And then it infuses the material world with a divine essence. And it brings all that blessing and all that infinite goodness and kindness into the physical world around us. Embracing our identity as spiritual beings helps us navigate a world of falsehood. We can align our thoughts and speech and actions with the spiritual reality and truth of the godly soul. And when we do that, we experience fulfillment. We leave a positive impact on the world around us. People are happier. that we came around them. When you are negative and you are just part of the superficial lie of falsehood, you leave other people feeling empty. You leave other people feeling consciously or subconsciously duplicity in you and in themselves. But when we make the right choices and we convey and we transmit and we share what is real and what is true, this is a pleasure to have around us. A person who is honest, a person who is humble, a person who is connected with holiness and with greater transcendence. This is a pleasure to always have around us. I hope I've given you a lot of positive and fresh thoughts to consider so that it will improve and enhance your life.